So today we will see the solved question paper of October 2019 of 2016 scheme. So the first essay is define healthcare associated infections, describe various routes of transmission, prevention and control of healthcare associated infection, enumerate the role of nurse in a hospital infection control. So hospital-acquired infection, also called as nosocomial infection, it can be defined as an infection acquired in the hospital by patient who was admitted for reason other than that infection. A infection occurring in a patient in a hospital or other healthcare facility in whom the infection was not present or incubating at the time of admission. Describe the various routes of transmission, prevention, and control of healthcare associated infection. The transmission of microorganisms can be divided in the following routes that are direct contact, fomites, aerosol that means airborne, oral that means ingestion, and vector-borne. Some microorganisms also transmitted by more than one route. First one is direct contact transmission. Direct contact transmission occurs through direct body contact with tissues or fluids in an infected individual. The physical transfer and entry of microorganisms occur through the mucous membrane, that are the eyes and mouth, or open wounds or abraded skin. Direct inoculation can occur from the bite or the scratches. Second is fomite transmission. Fomite transmission involves the inanimate objects contaminated by infected individual that then come in contact with susceptible animal or human. Fomites can include a wide variety of objects like examination tables, cages, kennels, medical equipments, environmental surfaces, and clothing. Aerosol or airborne transmission. Aerosol transmission encompasses the transfer of pathogens via very small particles or droplet nuclei. Aerosol particles may be inhaled by susceptible host or deposited onto the mucous membrane or the environmental surfaces. This can occur from breathing, coughing, sneezing, or vocalization of an infected individual, but also during certain medical procedures like suctioning, bronchoscopy, dentistry, and inhalation anesthesia. Then the fourth is oral ingestion. Ingestion of a pathogenic organism can occur from contaminated food or water, as well as by licking or chewing contaminated objects or surface. Environmental contamination is most commonly due to exudate, feces, urine, or saliva. Vector-borne transmission. Vectors are living organisms that transfer pathogenic microorganisms to other animals or locations that include anthropoid vectors like mosquitoes, fleas, ticks, and rodents or other vermin. Vector-borne transmission can be important of transmission in climates where these pests exist year-round and may be brought into practice by an ingested patient. Prevention and control. Basic principles of infection control are remove the source of infection by treating the infections and decontamination procedures. Prevent the transfer with a good hand hygiene, aseptic procedure and appropriate isolation. Enhance resistance with good nutrition and appropriate antibiotic prophylaxis or vaccination. These should be underpin all nursing practice and a fundamental of prevention of HAI. HAI means hospital acquired infections. Every hospital must have policies in place to ensure the control and prevention of infection. Nurses are likely to be aware of policies regarding hand hygiene, use of protective clothing, and safe disposal of sharps. There are other key policies important in the control of infection, including policies that will reduce the infection risk from other use of catheters, tubes, cannulas, and those regarding prudent use of antibiotics. However, the control is a complex problem. For example, HAI risk greatly increased by extensive movement of patients in the hospital, by high bed occupancy, and by absence of facilities to isolate infected patients. There are other key policies that are important in control infection. Enumerate the role of nurse in the hospital infection control. Hand hygiene is the crucial factor of control HAI because hands can easily transfer microorganisms from one area or patient to another. There are different strategies promoting hand hygiene that still seems to be difficulty in persuading staff to adopt good practice. However, failure to comply with the measures that's good hand hygiene is rarely due to laziness or lack of care, but due to barriers preventing effective practice. Poor knowledge of the guidelines, lack of education, inadequate facilities, time pressures, lack of access to hand hygiene agents. Role of infection control nurse. Conduct daily ward rounds to inspect documentation of infection control measures, Educate the nursing staff on infection control practice set forth by the hospital. Provide feedback on instance of any communicable disease reported by the head nurses. Assess and evaluate the isolation protocol done by the unit staff. Detection of instance hospital-acquired infection and identification of the cause of infection. Ensure that all hospital employees are vaccinated against infectious disease as per hospital policy. Participate in regular infection control committee meeting to evaluate situation at any given time. The short essays describe clinical features and diagnosis of intestinal amoebiasis. Intestinal amoebiasis, symptomatic amoebic colitis, develop 2 to 6 weeks after ingestion of infected cyst. Gradual onset of lower abdominal pain, mild diarrhea, malaise, weight loss, back pain. Fecal movements may be mimic acute appendicitis. Stool will contain little fecal matter will consist of mainly blood and mucus. Preliminary infection clinical features include severe abdominal pain, high fever, profuse diarrhea occurs predominantly in the children. Also, patients receiving glucocorticosteroids have megacolon. Patients will be having shock-like features. Symptomatic group. First, the laboratory investigation. First is examination of stool. Microscopic appearance, dark brown, offensive, semi-solid stool. The acid reaction admixed with blood, mucus and fecal matter. It does not adhere to container. Microscopic appearance, the cellular exudate scanty and consists of nuclear masses of few pus cells, macrophages and epithelial cells. The red cells clump and reddish, yellow or yellowish, that is sometimes in green in color. Presence of charcoal-laden crystals. Demonstration of Endomobia histolica by examining unstained preparation microscopically, a fresh stool unmixed with antiseptic or urine examined. In acute cases, amoebic trophocytes can be recognized by the characteristic movement and presence of red blood cells. Examination of blood shows moderate leukocyte and other serological tests. In early cases, there is always negative, but this serological test becomes only in invasive amoebiasis. Tests are used as IHA, lactate agglutination test, and ELISA. Asymptomatic group, the cyst or passes cyst or Dihydroconus carriers. For them, the examination of stool, natural stool for the cyst, smear prepared by the concentration method, purge stool obtained after saline cataract, and material collected by the use of sigmoidoscope when there are visible lesions of sigmoidocrectal area. Culture examination, stool negative microscopically when cultured have on various occasions shown in the presence of parasite. Robinson's culture media and NIH polycynic culture media are now available for culture of the stool for isolation of amoeba. Culture is not a routine diagnostic procedure. Molecular diagnosis. Recently, DNA probes and radioimmunoassay have been used to detect Endomobia histolica in stool. It is a rapid and specific method. Describe the morphology, transmission and laboratory diagnosis of HIV. The morphology. It is a rough spherical diameter is about 120 nanometer, composed of 2 copies of positive single-stranded RNA, enclosed by a chronicle capsid composed of viral protein P24. It have very high genetic variability. An RNA genome consists of 9 genes. 3 of these genes are GAG, POL and MR. Contain information needed to make structural proteins for the new virus particle. Inside of the capsule, there are 3 enzymes required for HIV replication. They are reverse transcriptase, integrase, and protease. A matrix composed of viral protein P17 surrounds the capsule, ensuring the integrity of virion particle. The mode of transmission, the virus present in the blood, semen, cervical and vaginal secretions and the source are important for transmission. HIV they are transmitted by these 3 modes: sexual contact with infected persons, either the heterosexual or homosexual, by blood and blood products from infected mother to the babies. That may be, it can be intrapartum, perinatal or postnatal. Specific tests for HIV infections include: first one is antigen detection. Virus antigens may be detectable in the blood after about 2 weeks following a single massive infection as the blood transfusion. A major core antigen P24 is the earliest virus marker to appear in the blood and is one tested for IgM. Antibodies appear in about 4 to 6 weeks to be followed by IgG antibodies. The P24 antigen capture, that is ELISA, which uses an anti-P24 antibody as a solid phase, can be used for this. The test is most useful in persons recently exposed to risk infections in whom antibody test is negative. Second is virus isolation. Once infected with HIV, a person remains infected for life. The virus is present in circulation in body fluids, within lymphocytes or cell-free. It can be isolated from CD4 lymphocytes to peripheral blood, bone marrow, and serum. The technique of isolation is by co-cultivation of patients' lymphocytes with uninfected lymphocytes in the presence of interleukin-2. The detection of viral nucleic acid. The most sensitive and specific test is for PCR has become the gold standard for diagnosis in all stages of infection. The PCR tests are complex and indicated only when other methods cannot give a definitive result. Two forms of PCR have been used, that is DNA PCR and RNA PCR. And fourth one is antibody detection. Demonstration of antibodies is the simplest, most widely used techniques for diagnosis of HIV infection. So these are the laboratory tests for detection of specific antibodies in HIV infection. National Immunization Schedule. I have not explained here because it may be changing and you may have the reason. You can look for the recent immunization schedule. So we'll go for the fifth question, that is microfilaria. Microfilaria is an early stage in life cycle of parasitic nematodes in the family of Oncoroserae. The adults live in tissues and circulatory system of vertebrae. These release microfilaria in the bloodstream of vertebrate host. Microfilaria is taken up by the blood-feeding arthropod vectors. This intermediate host in microfilaria develop into infective larvae that can be transmitted to no vertebrae. Source and transmission. The epidemiology of viral worms are determined by temperature, rainfall, factors affecting reproduction of vector flight. Following mating, the female worms release microfilaria which are picked by the vector insects in the hosts. Microfilaria snort, molt, and develop into infective larvae which are injected to dermis layer of the skin. After 1 year, the larva molt twice into the adult worms. Clinical blood-sucking flies and even hosts can fly the disease. Filariid worms form nodules in the skin, lay eggs, and then microfilaria rise to bleed and ulcerate. Although these lesions are inconvenient to animal, ulcers heal spontaneously. The treatment, no effective treatment is available. Topical treatment with organophosphorus compounds reduce the number and burden of parafilaria lesions. Secondary skin lesions or suppurations should be treated with basic wound management technique and fly strike prevention. Control of filariid worms focus on decreasing microfilaria in blood and eradicating adult worms on skin and their vector flies. Vector control carried out by using environmentally safe insecticides applied by aerial spraying over the breeding sites of the flies is recommended. ELISA. The basic principle of ELISA is use of an enzyme to detect binding antigen AG and antibody AB. The enzyme converts colorless substance, that is chromatogen, to a colored product indicating presence of antigen and ratio antibody binding. An ELISA can be used to detect either the presence of antigens or antibodies in a sample depending upon how the test is designed. ELISA was developed in 1970 and became rapidly accepted. It can be qualitative or quantitative. Qualitative means determine antigen or antibody present or absent. Quantitative determines the quantity of the antibody. Titer. The highest dilution of the specimen usually serum, which gives a positive reaction to the test. Advantages. Reagents are relatively cheap and have long shelf life. ELISA are highly specific and sensitive. No radiation hazards occur during labeling or disposal of waste. Easy to perform and quick procedures. Equipment can be inexpensive and widely available. ELISA can be used to a variety of infections. Disadvantages include measurement of enzyme activity can be more complex than measurement of activity of some type of radioisotope. Enzyme activity may be affected by plasma constituents. Kits are commercially available but they are not cheap. Very specific to particular antigen won't recognize the other antigen. False positive or negative are possible, especially with muted or altered antigen. Limitations. Result may not be absolute. Antibody must be available. Concentration may be unclear, and false positive can be possible, especially and also false negative also. Candidiasis. Candida albicans are opportunistic fungal pathogen that are responsible for candidiasis in human bodies. Candida albicans grows in different morphological forms ranging from unicellular budding yeast to true hyphae in the parallel sidewall. Candida albicans are unicellular, oval-shaped diploid fungus. Typically, the Candida albicans live as a harmless commensals of the GI tract or genitourinary tract and found over 70% of population. Overgrowth of this organism, however, will lead to the disease. Candidiasis is a fungal infection that can be affected in the areas such as skin, genitals, throat, mouth, blood. There are several types of candidiasis. If it is in the mouth, it is called oral candidiasis or oropharyngeal candidiasis or oral thrush. Affect genital area, it is called yeast infection. In women, it may be called a vulvovaginal yeast infection. If the yeast infection of the skin on the baby's bottom area, it causes diaper rash. The yeast infections if it is enter the bloodstream, it called invasive candidiasis or candidemia. Pathogenesis. Candidiasis causes usually abnormal growth of Candida albicans, which are usually due to an imbalance in the environment. Usually, this imbalance occurs in a woman's vagina. This infection less likely to occur for men. Several events are spark the imbalance. For example, antibiotic use can decrease the amount of lactobacillus bacteria, which decrease the amount of acidic products and the pH of vagina. The other events are pregnancy, uncontrolled diabetes, impaired immune system, and irritation of the vagina. Candida albicans are able to take advantage of conditions and outcompete the normal microflora, resulting in candidiasis or yeast infection. Transmission. It is transmitted usually mother to infant through childbirth and remains as a part of normal human microflora. Overgrowth of Candida albicans lead to disease. It occurs there are imbalance. And diagnosis. Diagnosis of an yeast infection is done by microscopic examination or culturing. Treatment. Cutaneous candidiasis. The skin infections can be effectively treated with variety of antifungal powders and creams. The affected area must be kept clean, dry, and protected from chafing. Deep candidiasis are treated with intravenous fluconazole. Laboratory diagnosis of urinary tract infections include: first is full blood count, culture and sensitivity in general blood culture, urethral culture, and urine culture. Collection of urine specimen should be a clean catch urine. Urine dipstick can identify patients with infection with need for treatment without culture. And microscopy, ultrasound, CT scan with fever or complicated infections. We can go for an FBC blood culture. With persistent hematuria and suspect bladder lesions, can go for cystoscopy. Upper or recurrent UTI imaging like ultrasound or CT scan. Pelvic in female and rectal male examining has to be examined. Post-exposure prophylaxis of rabies. In countries of areas endemic for rabies, the exposure is expected to confirm rabid animal are characterized by WHO at category 1. Description: touching or feeding animals, licks by the intact skin, contact with intact skin, secretions or excretions of rabid animal or person. In those cases, there is not regarded as an exposure, so there is not post-exposure prophylaxis is required. Category 2. Nibbling of uncovered skin, minor scratches or abrasions without bleeding. Vaccine should be injected as soon as possible. Category 3. Single or multiple transdermal bites or scratches, licks or broken skin, contamination of mucous membrane with saliva from licks and exposure of the bites. In those cases, vaccine and rabies immunoglobulin should be administered at distant site as soon as possible. Immunoglobulin can be administered up to 7 days after injection to the first dose of vaccine. Gonorrhea. Gonorrhea is a sexually transmitted infection caused by bacterium Neisseria gonorrhea. Infection may involve genitals and mouth. Infected men experience pain, burning, urination, discharge from the penis or testicular pain. Infected women may experience burning pain with urination, vaginal discharge, bleeding between periods or pelvic pain. Complications in women include pelvic inflammatory disease and in men include inflammation of epidermis. Many of these are infected, however, have no symptoms. If untreated, gonorrhea can spread to the joints or heart valves. Gonorrhea is spread through sexual contact with the infected person. This includes oral, anal, or vaginal sex. It can also spread from a mother to a child during birth. Diagnosis by testing the urine, urethra in males and cervix in females. Dengue fever. Dengue fever is a mosquito-borne tropical disease caused by the dengue virus. Symptoms typically begin 3 to 14 days after the infection. This may include high fever, headache, vomiting, muscle and joint pains, and characteristic of skin rash. Recovery generally takes 2 to 7 days. In small proportion of cases, the disease develops into a more severe dengue hemorrhagic fever, resulting in bleeding, low levels of blood platelets, and blood plasma leakage into or into a dengue shock syndrome where the dangerously low blood pressure occurs. Differentiate between gram-positive and gram-negative cell. A gram-positive, the cell wall will be single-layered and smooth cell wall, but in gram-negative, a double-layered baby cell wall. So cell wall thickness about 20 to 80 nanometers of gram-positive and thickness is 8 to 10 nanometers in gram-negative. Outer membrane is absent for gram-positive, but it is present for the gram-negative. Peptidoglycan layer is a thick layer, can be multi-layered, but in gram-negative it is a very thin layer, often single layer. Plasmic space is very small in gram-positive but very large in gram-negative. Immediate and delayed hypersensitivity. Type 1 or immediate hypersensitivity allergic reaction provoked by exposure to specific antigen. Exposure may be ingestion, inhalation, injection or direct contact. The reaction is mediated IgG antibodies and produced by immediate release of histamine, tryptase, arachidonate and derivatives of basophils and mast cells. This causes inflammatory response leading to an immediate reaction. The reaction may be either local or systemic. The symptoms vary from mild irritation to sudden death from anaphylactic shock. Treatment usually involves epinephrine, antihistamine, and corticosteroids. Some examples are allergic asthma, allergic conjunctivitis, allergic rhinitis, anaphylaxis, angioedema, urticaria. Type 4 or delayed hypersensitivity takes 2 to 3 days to develop. Unlike other type, it is not antibody mediated rather than it is a cell mediated response. Some clinical examples are contact dermatitis, temporal arteritis, symptoms of leprosy, symptoms of tuberculosis, transplant rejection. Endotoxin and exotoxin. Endotoxin is a form part of a cell wall and released in the death of bacteria, but exotoxin is secreted as a part of metabolism. Immune response. Have ability to trigger the immune response in comparatively weaker, but exotoxin have a strong ability to trigger the immune response. Endotoxin does not have any enzymatic activities, but exotoxin, most of the activities are enzymatic in nature. Toxicity, it is a moderate, endotoxin is of a moderate toxicity, but exotoxin is highly toxic. Mode of conversion cannot be converted to toxoids, but exotoxin can be converted to toxoid. Disease caused by the toxins include urinary tract infections, coronary artery disease, meningococcal meningitis, but exotoxin has scarlet fever, botulism, scarlet skin syndrome. Endotoxin do not prove fatal, but exotoxin often fatal in large quantities. Thank you.